What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Corey, and I'm just a guy on my lunch break. If you're just happening across my channel and this is your first time seeing one of my videos, first one's a freebie. First one's a freebie. But if this is your second time returning, or third time returning, guess what? Now you gotta pay. Pay? What do you mean pay? YouTube's free, man. What are you talking about, Corey? Take 2 seconds. Hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out a lot. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your situation is, and then we'll just go from there. I would surely appreciate it. So I am 23 days no KRATOM at this point. Another successful weekend. No KRATOM. How long's it gonna last? How long's it gonna last? There's probably a lot of people just tuning back in just to we live in an interesting society. You know, I think a lot of people are probably tuning back in just to see me lose or to see me fall. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like Floyd Mayweather in boxing. You know, he retired, 50-0. And it's just interesting because a lot of people would watch his fights and get his fight simply just to see him lose. I mean, you had just as many people wanting to see him lose as you did people who were fans of him and wanted to see him win. So it doesn't really matter to me why you tune in. As long as you tune in, you know, I don't care if you're tuning in because you really like what I say. I have people that are probably tuning in because I have a nice voice to listen to. I've been told that. I have people that are probably tuning in because they're thinking, damn, it's only a matter of time before this guy slips and uses some KRATOM again. I wouldn't call it slipping. You know, it depends on which school of thought you're coming from, but I just want to be transparent that I have said from the very beginning, before I ever even completely came off of KRATOM, that it likely won't be the last time I use it. It'll be the last time I go all in on KRATOM. It'll be the last time I use it every day of the week, multiple times per day. I'll never do that again, not as long as I live, and I know that for a fact. But you know, as far as never using it again, or will I never have a time or an occasion that I want to use some KRATOM? Not likely. As long as it's legal, as long as I can drive right up the street and get some in my home state, you know, there will definitely be some probably special occasions that I will use KRATOM. One of those is probably going to be this weekend. I'm going to the UFC in Boston, Massachusetts. It's a huge pay-per-view event. I've never been to a pay-per-view event before. I've been to a couple of UFCs, but never a pay-per-view. So it's probably one of the biggest UFC cards of the year, and I will be there, and I will probably use KRATOM. I already know it's legal in Boston as well, and I already know it's legal in every state in between as I drive through. So a lot of you are like, dude, what are you doing? You're setting up your own relapse. Is it a relapse? You know, maybe so. And you know, some people would probably argue that, oh man, all that work you've done, all that time you've put in off of it is going to be gone, and now that all of that is no good, it's null and void. Why? You know, if I take it a couple of days this weekend on my trip and then I come back, I'm not going to go through withdrawals. I haven't had it at that point. I haven't had it in a month. You know, and I will come back, and I will not continue taking the KRATOM. Is it a slippery slope? Probably, but that's how I live my life. You know, if you follow me and you follow this channel because you're looking for a guy who is going to be committed to long-term recovery, and I'm coming right out of the gate saying I'm never going to use again, and this channel is my accountability mirror, and I'm never going to use KRATOM again, and you guys watch and see. No, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. You need to go down the street to that other channel where the guy's on there, you know, preaching to you about long-term sobriety and all that stuff. For me, what's more important is that my life doesn't go back to where it was before when I was using KRATOM. And, you know, a lot of people don't believe in learning lessons with something like drugs or something like other opiates. Or a lot of people don't believe in that. They think you have, if you are an addict, you have the inability to be able to control how you use a certain substance, and it's always going to be a slippery slope. 10 times out of 10, you're always going to go too far down that rabbit hole where it's going to take you off into left field or you know, some sort of horrible negative way. And all I gotta say is, if that's the case, then maybe I'm not an addict after all. I know myself, and I know my life, and I know who I am as a person, and what my outlook on life is, and what I want out of life, and I won't continue using it. I'll use it a couple of days, I'll come back, and then I won't use it again for a while. And that's what I plan to do. The main thing with me is to be able to use it just every so often and responsibly, so that I'm not having withdrawals and physical withdrawals and stuff like that. I want to be able to just use it occasionally. So I guess you would just have to watch and see. I mean, I'm 23 days off now. If I do get some this weekend for my trip, then I'll probably be a full month at that point. This Saturday will be a full month off of KRATOM. So you'll have to watch and see. I've already told you guys I'm going to be completely honest about it. You know, I'm not going to go and use it and then come back and get on here the following week and be like, yeah, little over a month free of KRATOM, still haven't used KRATOM, no KRATOM use for me. I suck at winking. No KRATOM use for this guy. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. If I use it, I'm going to tell you guys, you deserve to know the truth. If you've been following me for a while, I'm almost at 360 subscribers now. So right around the corner from 400 subscribers. And, you know, to these big YouTubers who have got, you know, 100K subscribers or 1 million subscribers, or, you know, almost 400 subscribers might not sound like a lot. But for me, somebody who's not a YouTuber, I mean, that's almost 400 people that have thought enough of my channel and thought enough of what I'm saying to hit that subscribe button. And many of which continually check back in, keep me updated on what they're doing, stuff like that on a regular, ongoing basis, which I'm very appreciative of that. But when I have that amount of people looking at me, watching me, I don't want to mislead anyone. I don't want to lie to anyone. I don't want to say, oh, no more KRATOM for this guy. Nope, I didn't use KRATOM this past weekend, knowing that I did. I'm not going to do that. And I've said I'm not going to do that from the very beginning. But I've also said there's a good chance that I will take KRATOM again. I won't take it religiously, continuously, like I have in the past. But, you know, rare use on like a special occasion sort of thing, I can definitely see myself doing that. And so anyway, bring the comments. Bring the comments. I already know what one guy's gonna say. I got one guy that, don't give in to temptation, stay hard. He's a big David Goggins guy. I already know he's gonna drop on, stay hard, don't take KRATOM this weekend. I already know he's gonna say it. Dude, bro, you know, I'm a grown man. I'm a 47-year-old guy. It is legal in my state. You know, I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm not going to go there with KRATOM again. I'm not. Um, and it is one of those things where kratom is absolutely one of those things. Unless you're taking it, unless you're one of those people that has to be taking, whether it be for chronic physical pain that you experience, some other form of, you know, severe depression and anxiety that kratom helps you with, unless it's something, or you're coming off of something much harder like fentanyl, heroin. You know, I can see people who are on like heavy amounts of pain pills and stuff like that coming off onto kratom, you know, whether it be temporary or staying on it permanently if you have pain issues. I can see people doing something like that for it. But if you're a person like me who's just kind of taking it for a buzz, you truly do have to be able to just take it sometimes. You can't be taking it every day, all day, every day. Because if you do, you're going to get to a point where you're slave to it, you're locked into it, and you have to take it all the time. Or you're going to feel like shit and you're going to go through withdrawals. You know, so I just want to be completely transparent about that. And you know, hey, if I go and I do, I'm not 1,000% sure that I'm going to take it this weekend. I may have some sort of attack of conscience or attack of God or whatever it is. I might have one of those when it gets closer to the time and be like, you know what, you don't need it, don't take it whatsoever. But I am driving all the way to Boston and then all the way back from Boston this weekend, only with my 17-year-old son in the car with me, who has he has a license, but he's never driven long distances like that. And it's one of those things, especially going places we've never been before. We're going to be going through tolls and all this other kinds of stuff. He's probably not going to do a lot of the driving. It's probably mainly going to be me. So I freely admit that while I am going to enjoy the effects of the kratom when I take it, it also serves a double purpose. You know, the little energy boost and mood lift is not going to be a bad idea when I'm driving 12 hours each way. One on Friday and Friday night, finishing the rest. We're probably going to stay somewhere. Probably going to stay somewhere like maybe Pennsylvania or something like that. So I'm from North Carolina, going all the way to Boston, Mass this weekend for the UFC. Probably stay halfway somewhere, maybe in Pennsylvania. Get up the next morning, drive the rest of the way. You know, try to see the city a little bit before the fights that night. Go to the fights. We won't be getting back from the fights probably till 2 in the morning, something like that. Get a few hours of shut-eye, and I'm hoping to be up and out and on the road again by like 8, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, right? Then it's a 12-hour drive back. And the drive back, I'm not going to be stopping and staying in a hotel. I'm going to be straight shot the whole thing. I mean, we might stop a few times to use the bathroom, maybe stretch our legs at a rest stop. But other than that, kicking it, baby. Going to be kicking it. So, admittedly, and I'm not using this as an excuse, but admittedly, you know, a little bit of kratom wouldn't be bad when I'm having to stay focused on driving that long. But anyway, so this weekend was good. We went to a pool party on Saturday. We kind of had a couple of friends of ours who live right up the street from us. They have a nice pool and stuff in their backyard, and he had like a end of the year kind of summer bash, so to speak. The wife and I had 4 or 5 hours where we were able to get away from the baby for a little bit. I hate to put it that way. We love the little guy, but you know, for the last 3 months since he's been born, he's been attached to our hips, literally, especially my wife, since she's his main caretaker. And my mom watched him for several hours on Saturday, so we were able to kind of bounce away for a little bit, go to this pool party, hang out with some folks our age. They had a band there that was kind of playing beside the pool, so that was a cool experience, you know, being able to be there with a live band and in the pool. They had a few kegs, so I did have probably maybe 3 beers, maybe 4 beers over the course of the afternoon. So But nothing too crazy. You know, nothing hangover-ish crazy. But that was cool. That was fun. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, so that's what I did this past weekend. Then yesterday, Sunday, we just kind of hung out around the house. You know, a high of 96 degrees outside. It's a little bit too hot to be out doing a lot outside. That's one thing that's unfortunate about where I live in the South. I mean, it's this year especially, and even the last few years specifically, it's become a pretty humid and tropical state here in North Carolina. We've had some pretty hot weather and temperatures the last few years here. So that's kind of unfortunate, because when it's almost 100 degrees outside and you live in a moist, I can't say that word without thinking of the I can't say that word without thinking of the Nutty Professor movie. Mosh. Made me mosh. Oh, man. Just stop, dude. Just stop. I mean, you're letting everyone see your 8th grade sense of humor as a 47-year-old guy. It's never going to go away, I don't think. But, you know, it's a very humid state as well. So when you put the humidity along with almost 100 degrees out, there's just not a lot of enjoyability when being out there, unfortunately. So yesterday, we just, even though it was nice and sunny and bright outside, we didn't do a whole lot outside. And it kind of leads me to my next thing. For all you people that are out there just coming off of KRATOM, or looking to come off, I know a lot of people have commented recently that they're almost off. They're this close to like making that jump. One of the biggest triggers, I think, for people for getting off of KRATOM and staying off for any period of time is boredom. And I've definitely noticed that. And I noticed that yesterday, by example. Again, you know, no KRATOM this past weekend or anything like that. But yesterday, when we were sitting around the house on Sunday, it's kind of too hot to really go out. You know, it's like, and we have and besides that, we have a 3-month-old, you know, and you can literally look up online how hot is too hot for a 3-month-old, and there's all kinds of warnings and stuff like that about not taking young infants like that outside when it's hot. And it's the amount of heat that they can be out in is well under 96 degrees. Okay, so even if we wanted to go outside, we couldn't, because we would have to leave the baby inside. And then if we're outside and the baby's inside, obviously, you know, I mean, babies his age who are still drinking formula, they upchuck and throw up from time to time. You know, he could throw up and choke on it. And then here we are, you know, leaving him inside while we're outside enjoying the weather and stuff like that. We just can't do that, obviously. We'd be shitty parents. So if he has to stay inside, we kind of have to stay inside at this point. So we stayed inside all day yesterday. So there really wasn't a lot to do except, you know, watch some TV. I did play piano for a little bit. But it's one of those things where, you know, I did kind of find myself like, damn, I can see why a lot of people have trouble staying away from it, because you just get bored. You just get bored, man. Like, I'm bored, you know. I'm sitting here and you're used to having, you're used to, you know, kind of having an uplifted mood and having something, you know, because when you're taking something like KRATOM, or if your thing is alcohol, if your thing is weed, or if your thing is, I don't know, cocaine, whatever it is, your drug of choice, if you're taking something like that, it doesn't really matter if you're bored. It doesn't really matter if you have something to do. You know, I've talked about this before. You can take the most mundane, I mean, playing bingo with a 98-year-old grandmother doesn't sound like a load of fun, right? But if you take your drug of choice and then play bingo with a 98-year-old grandmother, you're not going to give a shit if it's boring. you're going to enjoy it regardless, because inside your own head, your mood is lifted, you're uplifted, you got a buzz, right? So I think that's one of the reasons that people continue to use, aside from the fact, aside from just the addictive aspect of the drugs and people having addictive disorders. Once the drugs go away, you still have the issue of boredom and what to do with your time from second to second, to moment, day to day, because you're used to being under the effect of said drug, right? And so, I was really noticing that the other day when I was, or yesterday when I was sitting around the house, doing stuff, and there just wasn't but so many things that I could do, right? And, we have to be responsible for my baby and stuff like that. So it just wasn't but so many things I could have done. But you know what? It's one of those things where, as I sat there, had to talk with myself, and I kind of kept reminding myself that, hey, it is what it is, man. That's the thing. As substance abusers, we get into this mindset that you always have to be on something. Your state of mind always has to be altered in some way. And we get used to that. We get accustomed to that. And we train our brains to always have to be under, some sort of the effects of some sort of substance. And I will say, as the weekends pass, that feeling, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, it's getting less and less and less. I remember the first weekend without Kratom, I was just like, every few minutes, I was just like, just bored to death, just wanting to do something or take myself out of my own mind just from sheer boredom and stuff like that. And the weekend following, had some struggles as well. I was right around that 10, 14 day mark, but then this weekend, 21 days after, it seems like it's kind of let up a little bit. I was bored, yes, but it's kind of one of those things where it wasn't like replaying in my mind every second. It was one of those things, it was more like a distant, fleeting thought that happened maybe once an hour or something like that. I would just be like, damn, what time is it now? For some reason, I can't explain this, but the night times tend to be a little better for me. Once nighttime hits, I'm kind of like, I'm okay with not having taken anything. It's getting a little bit closer to bedtime, almost dinner time. Maybe it's just something about the biological clock and the chemicals that start to mix around in the brain at night or in the evenings. I don't know. It could be that. But it's the daytimes, in the morning, I get up, I usually do have a couple of cups of coffee, or at least a cup and a half, maybe, of coffee. And that gives you a slight mood lift there for a little while. Although coffee and caffeine is absolutely nothing like Kratom, which is rather ironic that a lot of sources try to market Kratom as like a strong coffee. Like, nah. Nah, homie. That's just absolutely not true. It's completely different. But I'll have a couple of cups of coffee, and that'll last me for a little while. But then by the time 10, 11, 12 o'clock rolls around, that's when I'm the type of person that I'm up and I'm doing stuff. I don't sit around watching TV all day. I'm just not that guy. I'm always working on some sort of project at the home, or I'm, playing music, or I'm out working in the yard, or I'm going for a run. I'm just one of those people that kind of stays moving a lot. I guess you could say kind of stays balls to the wall a lot. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me a lot different. I know there are a lot of other people out there, including substance abusers, that are that way. Always have to be doing something. But then I know a lot of other ones too that are substance abusers that's all they do. They'll take some sort of drug and then they'll sit there and scroll through their phone or scroll through social media or YouTube or whatever. They'll sit down and, binge watch something on TV, or I know a lot of people that will sit down and they'll play a game, play some sort of Xbox or PlayStation or a computer game for hour after hour after hour. There's people that do that. I don't do none of that shit. Never. I did it a little bit yesterday because it's Sunday afternoon. We didn't really have a lot going on. There's nothing we could really do. Too hot outside to really do anything outside. Couldn't take the baby outside. It's really too hot to go and do anything outside. And so it's one of those things where there's not but so many things you can do with a 3-month-old infant. So we were just kind of stuck inside, just watching TV. I struggle with that. And it's not as bad for me not taking something. It's not as bad for me when I'm up, moving around, doing stuff. You know what I mean? It's when I sit down and I'm sitting on my hands and I'm sitting there watching TV or just, looking through my phone. It's those times where I'm just like, I start tapping my foot, So I think that's a trigger that is important for people to recognize when they're coming off of something like KRATOM. There's a reality. You've kind of trained your mind to always be under the influence of something. So once you stop taking that drug and your brain is not under the effect of that drug anymore, it's going to seem like those seconds are minutes, and those minutes are hours, and those hours are days. And that's somewhat frustrating. It seems like the time is just dragging, because you kind of, everything, when you're under the influence of something, the time all just kind of seems to run together. And I think that's one of the reasons people get into that, the use of it all the time like that, because it kind of helps just pass time. It's kind of like the mentality of there's nothing else to do, So that is a trigger, I think, that everyone should really be aware of. It's one that I've definitely recognized in the past, or recognized in my own life in the past, a little over 3 weeks since I've been completely off of KRATOM. But hey, I mean, other than that, it's still going pretty well. The cravings, although I still do have some cravings, they haven't been anything too severe, for sure. And it hasn't been one of those things where I'm just dying to, use this, that, or the other. And to the point where actually Saturday, so I went Saturday. I always go to open mat at my MMA gym on Saturdays. And to the point on the way back, there's this it's like an energy shot, but it actually doesn't have caffeine or anything like that, and it's called Zen Power, and it's basically like different B vitamins and stuff like that, but it has nothing else in it. It's completely natural. And they have those at the head shop, so I actually went to the head shop and got me one of those on Saturday, just to kind of give myself, a little energy, a natural energy boost sort of thing after leaving the gym. And I was right there, man. There were 100 KRATOM products, within 5 feet of me. And it was funny when I walked into the place, and a lot of people would say that, what, dude, I couldn't do that. I couldn't go to a KRATOM, but I know I'm not planning. I knew I wasn't planning on using it this past weekend, so I just kind of told myself no before I went in there. But the girl that was working at the cash register, first thing she said to me when I walked in, she was like, "You getting your usual super green?" Which I hadn't been there in probably a month, but she remembered me because that's where I always used to come and get my KRATOM capsules, right? And I, of course, was like, no, I stopped taking the KRATOM. I'm just wanting to get one of your Zen Powers. And she didn't say anything else about it. She just got me one of the Zen Powers. I checked out, walked out, left, But the cravings have not been that bad. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like I'm one of those people, when I make up my mind that I'm not really going to take it, and I'm not going to take it, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of able to put up a petition there. And I kind of said to myself before I even walked in there, like, I'm not, don't even look. I didn't want to be tempted, so like, don't even look. I knew where the Zen powers were located, and they're not in the same section as where the KRATOM is. So I had to walk right by the KRATOM products, but I didn't even look at the KRATOM products. I just walked right by it. I got the Zen power, then I left. But anyway, as far as that, 23 days off, everything's going pretty well. My mood is, I think, pretty much back to normal. A lot of people talk about these post-acute withdrawals going on for, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. I mean, I've seen reports out there they last a year, and I'm sorry. That's the kind of negativity for me that kind of scares me away from recovery programs, because they act like it's just a freaking death sentence, and people act like it's just so freaking miserable for the longest time if you stop using XYZ. And that's not been my experience. I'm sorry. I mean, the first couple of weeks, pretty tough. First probably 10 days is usually pretty tough physically. And then, even up to the first 14 days, up to maybe 21 days or stuff, there's a lot of mental anguish that kind of goes along with it, because you haven't fed that pig for a while, so you're getting the cravings, and it's something where you're kind of thinking about it every few minutes, and the time passes so slow, and you just want to take something to kind of take yourself out of that bored misery. But as far as if you know how to compartmentalize that, and that's something that you did but that you don't have to do, and you remind yourself that you came into this world free of any substance, right? You popped out of your mom's womb and they didn't start shoving KRATOM and pain pills and Xanax and shit in your mouth. And when you were running around as a 3, 4, 5-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, running around out in the woods or riding your bikes in your neighborhood, you weren't thinking about when you were going to get your next KRATOM fix, or when it was going to be 3 o'clock so you could take your next Xanax. You didn't, And if you remind yourself of that, you have to remember the chemicals and the way that your anatomy and biology and everything is formed in your body. You can get back to that. I mean, it's going to be the adult version, so obviously you're not going to stop taking KRATOM and then you're going to end up out there with the 10-year-olds in your neighborhood riding bikes and running through the woods as a 30, 40-year-old man. Obviously, you're not going to do that. You have to live life now. As an adult, you have to learn to live your life in a new way, free of that substance. But as far as your brain chemistry and all that, you can get back there. To where you're good without having the KRATOM, or you're good without having the Xanax. And I know I'm absolutely not in the clear. It's only been a little over 3 weeks for me. I'm just saying, for me at this moment, I haven't had a whole lot of the post-acute withdrawal syndrome. I just, if it is, I haven't really recognized it as that. My mood is pretty good. I feel pretty happy in life. I feel pretty blessed. I'm not having any more physical symptoms at all, because it's been 23 days now since I've had any KRATOM whatsoever. Again, I will remind everyone, I exercise regularly. I eat tons of fruits and vegetables. I drink tons of water every day. I have healthy relationships at work. I have healthy relationships at home in my personal life. I have healthy relationships in terms of friendships with people. I just healthy relationships all around. I don't have any unhealthy relationships in my life. I really don't. And so, and I feel blessed for that. And I know everybody's not in that situation. So by that measure, maybe it makes it a little easier for me, maybe. But just saying, as far as me, I haven't experienced a lot of the post-acute withdrawals. for me, it's just been cravings. You know, I've had some cravings here or there, but it is what it is. Anyway, I know I've been all over the place today. I didn't really have a lot to talk about. Just kind of want to let you guys know what's up, what's coming, the fact that I probably will take a little bit of KRATOM this weekend when I go out of town. I got a long trip ahead of me. But anyway, I love you guys. We will talk to you soon. Y'all have a good rest of your day. All right, peace.